In this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to divide a polynomial by a binomial. So let's take a look at this example here. Here is my division statement. I have a quadratic, x squared minus x minus 20, and I'm dividing by a binomial. Now, if I was to label these two expressions, this would be my polynomial, p of x, and this x plus 4 would be my divisor. So whatever you're dividing by, that is called your divisor. So before we write out the long division statement, we need to check to make sure that the p of x, our polynomial, is written in descending order by degree. So if we're looking at our terms of our p of x expression, we have to make sure all the terms are in descending order by degree. So this term has a degree of 2, this second term has a degree of 1, and the last term has a degree of 0, which is also a constant. So we are good to go here. So to set up the long division statement, you start with the division bar. What goes underneath is your p of x. So in this case, we have a quadratic, x squared minus x minus 20. Now the number or the expression that goes in front is your divisor, and it is the binomial x plus 4. So there you go. Now we have to fill out or determine our quotient, which we will denote as q of x. So to find the first term of our quotient, we have to take the first term of our polynomial and divide by the first term of our divisor. So if I do it on the side here, x squared divided by x gives me a x, and that is the first term of my quotient, and that's going to go right above the division bar. Now you're going to take this x and you're going to multiply by both terms in our divisor, and that's going to go underneath our polynomial right there. So x times x gives me x squared, and that goes right underneath, just like that. And then x times 4 gives me a positive 4x. Okay, and now write a bar underneath and carry out the subtraction. So x squared minus x squared gives me a 0. Negative x minus a 4x gives me a 5x. So be really careful with your signs when you're subtracting. And I'm actually going to get rid of this 0 here because we don't need it. Now we just bring down the last term of our polynomial, which in this case is a negative 20. So now we need to find the second term of our quotient. So to find the second term of our quotient, we take the negative 5x and we divide by the first term of our divisor, which is x, and that will give me a number negative 5. And that negative 5 is the second term of my quotient and goes right on top, just like that. Now we're going to take that negative 5, we're going to multiply that negative 5 by each term of the divisor. So negative 5 times x gives me a negative 5x that goes underneath just like that. And negative 5 times 4 gives me a negative 20. Put a bar underneath and let's carry out the subtraction. So negative 5x minus 5x gives me a 0. And then a negative 20 minus a 20 also gives me a 0. So this 0 represents my remainder. So if I divided this p of x by this divisor, we have a remainder of 0. So if we were to rewrite this or write our result as a proper division statement, we do it as follows. We start with p of x and we take our divisor, which is right here, x plus 4, and we multiply by our quotient. Now what is my quotient? If we go back up here, my quotient is represented by this expression on top of the division statement. So to write out my proper equation here, x plus 4 times the quotient, which is right here, x minus 5, and you're going to add the remainder, which in this case is the 0. So add a 0, but you don't need to do that. We could just erase that. So our division statement is as follows. X plus 4 times x plus 5, or sorry, x plus 4 times x minus 5 gives me the original polynomial. Okay, so that is a simple example. Let's go to my next one. Now this one's a little more complicated. So to carry this out, we have to First of all, take a look at this paragraph here. Now, this is really important in this example here. Make sure the polynomial is written in descending order by degree. So let's take a look at our division statement. This is our polynomial, and I'm dividing by x minus 2, which is also our divisor. Take a look at the polynomial here, p of x. Are the degrees of each term in descending order? We'll take a look. This has a degree of 2. This has a degree of 3. This has a degree of 1, and this has a degree of 0. Okay, so I'm a little worried right here. That is not in descending order. So we have to rearrange our p of x as follows. P of x can be written as 2x cubed minus 7x squared plus a 2x and minus the constant of negative 20. So you have to make sure that these degrees are in descending order. Now that we've fixed that, we can go ahead and set up our long division statement. So we start with the long division bar. What goes underneath is our p of x, so 2x cubed minus 7x squared plus 2x minus 20. So we have quite a few terms to work with here. What goes in front is, of course, our divisor, which is a binomial of x minus 2. Okay, so first step is to find the first term of the quotient. So I'll put over here, this is our quotient, q of x right here. First term is going to be 2x cubed, and that's the first term of my polynomial. I'm going to divide the first term of the divisor, which is x. And once I divide these two, I get 2x squared. So that is the first term of my quotient, and that goes right on top of the division bar. Now we have to carry out a multiplication here. 2x squared times x gives me a 2x cubed. That goes right underneath just like that. 2x squared minus a negative 2 gives me a negative 4x squared. Okay, so put a line underneath and carry out the subtraction. 2x cubed minus 2x cubed gives me a 0. Negative 7x squared minus 4x squared, be really careful with the signs here, it is a negative 3x squared. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this 0, and we're going to bring down the next term, which is a positive 2x. Okay, so let's find the second term of my quotient here. To find the second term of the quotient, take this negative 3x squared and divide by the first term of the divisor, which is x. And we get a negative 3x. That is the next term of my quotient, and that goes right on top, just like that. Now we carry out the multiplication. Negative 3x times a positive x gives me a negative 3x squared. And finally, a negative 3x times a negative 2 gives me a positive 6x. Okay, put a line underneath, carry out the subtraction. So negative 3x squared minus a 3x squared gives me a 0. 2x minus a positive 6x gives me a negative 4x. So you can get rid of the 0 if you like. And bring down the next term, which is a negative 20. All right, now we need to find the third last term of our quotient. And we do that by taking this negative 4x and dividing by the first term of the divisor, which hasn't changed. It's still x. And we get a negative 4. Now that is the last term of my quotient. Carry out the multiplication now. Negative 4 times a positive x gives me a negative 4x. Okay, I'll go up here. And a negative 4 times a negative 2 is a positive 8. Okay, and finish off with that bar underneath. Subtract negative 4x minus a 4x gives me a 0, and negative 20 minus an 8 gives me a negative 28. So once again, get rid of that 0. There you go. So here is my remainder. Okay, let's go up here. This expression up here in green, that is my quotient. Okay, so if I was to write the final division statement, I'd start with the p of x, our polynomial, and our divisor, which is x minus 2, multiplied by the quotient, which is, let's scroll up here, 2x squared minus 3x minus 4. And we're going to finally add our remainder, which is a negative 28. So negative 28 goes last, and that is my division statement for this example.